citizen with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody. This is the September 9th, 2024 City Commission meeting for Washburn, North Dakota. First item will approve the agenda. Has there been any changes to the agenda since it was sent out on Friday, Chelsea?
There has not been.
Okay, so with the agenda ahead of you, then can vote to.
Motion to approve?
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call vote starting with Tim.
Yes.
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 Okay. Everyone have a chance to review the bills.
Yes. Motion to pay the bills.
Can I add to the bills? With our concrete that we've been doing, we have one in there. We paid SNR Concrete, wanted half the bill up front. So we did a manual check for that, paid the $9,002.75. We're paying them the remainder included if the bill's in there. They are doing our shop drain and Linden Lane up in the project area, that curb that need to be finished. That total on here when he gave us the quote is for $1940. Upon completion of that, can we pay them so they do not have to wait another month to receive it?
Guess you'd want to amend your motion.
Yeah, I would.
I don't know, Jamie, if you had any more to add to that.
Yeah. go ahead,
Sorry.
Jamie.
Yeah, I think they've been doing a very nice job. Just one thing on 13th, that it's set up on them, got away from them. I think Adam was saying that they're willing to warranty it, and basically that's that $960 line item. But basically everything here is complete that they've done, and that would be the only thing that we'd want them to fix. Everything else I think turned out pretty nice, pretty good.
So when you mean their warranty, they're gonna do it over?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I guess, yeah, if we wanna okay this one, that would be what they've done to date. But they still have to do the shop drain and then up on Linden Lane.
Yep, and that is included in the bills, but this 1940 is not. So I would add this in tomorrow morning before I print those bills. And this is for the shop drain and up on Linden.
So do we put that in next month's bill?
Well, I guess we would just pay it upon completion, so he has his money.
Oh, sure.
So I wouldn't add it in, but once we get it in, it would just be a manual check. That would have to be signed by myself and Keith or Mark.
Yeah, so you're saying okay this one, and then after completion, Adam says it's okay, you issue him another check for the final $1,940?
Right.
Do you
I guess I just want the approval
Or
in
do you
there.
wanna wait on this until that's warranty?
Well, I guess one thing is if they, can we just pay this bill, the $9,074? It's $960. He's still got $1,940 left to do. So do we just pay this, but then,
I would wanna make sure that that's taken care of before we pay him total.
sure, but we can still take it out of there.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So we could still retain it from the $1,940 if we needed to, but we could at least get them paid that way.
Well, I would rescind my motion to pay the bills.
Is that what you think, Adam?
I think so, yeah,
Because we can still take that $960 out of that $1,940.
I think so, yeah.
So,
Just so that the work is satisfactory before the final check is
yeah,
given.
because would you say everything else turned out pretty
I think so, it looks really nice.
pretty good? It's
Yep.
just that one got away from a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
They did it on a hot day and set up faster than they could work it, so.
Yeah, I guess, just from my knowledge, usually when dealing with government as contractors and that sort of stuff, isn't there like net 30 or net beyond even with like bigger things? Usually,
Yes.
you know, so I'm not entirely sure what the need for such an expedited turnaround on receiving the funds, but,
I guess, I don't know, on my personal side, I've hired concrete guys, they kind of want it quicker than that 15, I guess, in past experiences, so.
gotcha.
But, so this isn't anything out of the ordinary from what I've seen that people want that, once that's done. and they are done. The only other thing is if you wanted to take the $960 off this bill here, would that, and then we'll add that to down here.
However you wanna do it,
Um,
if you would feel more comfortable doing it that way. Because then if they do the warranty work and finish this, then they can get that remaining amount, so.
Sure, so do you guys think we want to,
Well, or would it be better just to include in the motion to pay them upon completion?
sure,
Yeah, I mean, that would be reasonable, if that's kind of what's expected.
Right. That way, upon completion would be satisfactory with Adam's inspection.
Okay, then we could take out that 13th Street work because everything else is done.
Right.
yeah.
So we would pay them that 9075 minus, what is it, 960? I don't
Yeah.
have that invoice in
If
front
you
of me.
take that, it would be $8,114.50. So if we just wanna issue him a payment for that, minus 13th, and then once he gets that done, we'll add that to this over here.
It shouldn't be a problem.
Do you think you'd be
Yeah.
okay with that, or?
I think so.
Just know how to put it in motion.
Yeah.
Well, luckily for you, you can motion again with this discussion.
All right.
So then it change his remaining check you'd send him would be that 2,900 versus 1940, so.
Yeah.
How do you wanna say that? Should we change the approval payment to $8,114.50? And then, once he's done with the shop drain, and then, up on Linden Lane, and then, warranties that gutter, we'll issue him a check for $2,900. Does that sound appropriate?
Yes.
Want to put it in motion?
I think you're pretty good at that, so.
Here, give me your scratch sheet there. with the
Yeah.
numbers, but-
I guess I'd like to make a motion to pay SNR, $8,114.50, in these bills. Then upon completion and Adam's approval, to pay him the remaining $2,900.
Second, and I'd like to amend your first motion that we will also pay all the other bills.
Yeah.
And then if there's a second to that motion, then we can move on. Or to the amendment.
Yep.
Is that a second?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect, so we got a second, we have a first and second to the amendment to the motion that has a first and second as well, so discussion is now open for paying the bills. Is there any discussion?
I'm already confused, so.
Perfect, well, I'm doing what I can, so starting roll call vote with Tim.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, moving on from approval of the bills, we'll go to special meeting minutes for August 9th. It's in your packet, it was emailed out as well.
They are
This is
fine.
the preliminary budget,
Yep.
which we had the meeting right before this. Any additions or corrections?
Nope, motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and second, further discussion. Okay, looking for roll call vote, starting with
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, last month's meeting minutes. These are the August 12th, 2024. Next thing in your packet there. Any additions, corrections, anything like that?
Nope, motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and second, further discussion. Not hearing any, roll call vote starting with Tim.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, August financials. Pretty much the same story here, it was emailed out, when you're looking over it, was anything that was to be amended, changed, or anything in that regard? I have motion to approve,
So move.
sorry, I motioned, so you'd second.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were looking for motions. I'll second it.
Okay.
Also second.
Further discussion. Not hearing any, we have roll call vote.
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, local event permit, St. Edmund's Catholic Church. We'll get down to that. Is anybody here to speak about that at all, or? Okay, so it is for a raffle, as we saw here. It's gonna be on 12/1/2024. Just different gift cards, and it's also gonna be on 12/2 through 12/12 for daily cash prizes. For special needs for St. Edwin's, maintenance and building updates. All the information is here. Contacted the individual that submitted it, any issues, yes, discussion.
It looks in order, so I would move that we would approve it.
Second.
Motion and second, further discussion. Okay, vote starting with Tim.
Yes.
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 Waiver of fees, McLean County. This is for McLean County Annual Health Fair on October 10th, 2024. Looks like they want the lower level kitchen, dining room for half day. The total refund, or excuse me, the waiver of fees would be $40. Is that correct for the total?
Yes,
So it looks like they're just using do that.
it's their yearly mandatory health fair training that they all have to attend.
Oh, it's a training, okay.
Yeah, it's their annual health fair that all McLean County employees have to attend.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I was confused, I thought it was like remember the health and wellness thing that they had before or whatever. Not McLean County, but previously, so. I guess what would you guys like to do with this?
Yeah, we've done that every year, so I would move that we would approve it, so.
Any seconds?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion and second for the discussion. And starting with the vote, Tim.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Creed tax exemption. Mark, how are you doing? Thanks for coming back.
Doing well, thank you.
Hey, Mark.
How you doing?
To my understanding, we saw Chelsea's email in here. We got some clarification, and thank you for your patience with that from Ryan at, I believe, the county.
Yes,
Right?
yep.
So he clarified for us that he would be the first owner after the builder, which would be part of the qualifications that would be necessary. That was one of our main kind of things we were trying to figure out at our last meeting. That has been now figured out. So, any motions or discussion?
Yeah, I would motion to approve this. It's in order now, so.
Second.
A motion is second, further discussion. Okay, vote starting with Tim.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you, Mr. Creed, for your patience with that. Got it figured out. Okay, next item on the agenda is the library board jurisdiction. John Musson. John, if you'd like, you can approach the table and talk about the different things that you're doing.
Brief summary, I was appointed to the library board October of 22. When I joined the library board, the bylaws had a section requiring board members to be, it was in two places. In one place it said in the Washburn area, the other place it said in the city of Washburn. I live a mile and a half east of the cement plant, out of town. Once I was on the board, we were reviewing the bylaws, and I motioned, I think, that we correct that and make it consistent and just change it to Washburn area. After that, it came to our attention that that may be in conflict with Century Code. I forgot my binder with information, but there's a Century, I think you guys should have received the information, there's a Century Code reference.
I got it here if you want to see it or not.
So you can have my copies if you
Is
want
that
them.
on the right one there? No, there's some highlighted parts there, is that?
Yeah, so some of these are notes, some detailed notes from the librarian Candy. So the issue, I think it's Century Code 403803. So there had been some attempt to clarify that with the city attorney and I think even the city council and former mayor. It's kind of just bounced around and we now have the information that was included in this suggests that, I guess the best we can gather, it would suggest that we can deviate from the century code because we have a home rule charter if a city ordinance is passed to allow that. And to my knowledge, that doesn't exist. So I guess we've taken it as far as we can as the library board, kind of looking for the city commission to settle how to move forward with that.
No, absolutely, thank you. And I do just have a few just edits to what was submitted. To my understanding, it was just submitted by Candy, not approved by the board fully, but she's the one that kind of
Correct. So
details
her
this.
notes,
Just some quick corrections that I just noticed as I was going over it. In the first part, it says that we voted to change century code. At that time, century code was not brought up. It was only North Dakota legislation can change century codes. That's not something that we did. We are merely correcting what appeared to be an error from previous administrations before any of the 5 library members were in there. It was already there. We're like, okay, which one is this supposed to be, right? And then, so that's one part. One of it said the Washburn area. The other said residents of the city of Washburn. We want to just match to one of them. Obviously, there was some misunderstandings about what jurisdiction that would even fall under, because that wouldn't be a library board decision. That'd be a city commission with changing the ordinance or something along those lines. So we did get it figured out in the end now. Also, where it talks about the special meeting where the state librarian was there, it states in this report that she explained the century code and as to why you can't change that. That's untrue. I did submit the 2024 library. I don't remember what I named the file exactly, but Chelsea has it. If anyone would like that, it's a public record. I have the 5-minute clip of when she's speaking during that meeting. It's also available on Facebook. There's a link right there. She does not explain the century code. She reads it word for word. And then she expresses confusion about our relationship with McLean, Mercer, Sheridan, because we are a co-op library with the county. She said she's unsure how that interacts with who's on the board and that sort of stuff. And then from there, she told us to consult our city attorney. So she did not give us definite answers. You can see clearly in the submitted documentation, the Facebook video, and I made an audio recording just in case of Facebook or whatever. So that's available for anyone if they'd like to check it out. And then the third part, where it says Keith emailed the city attorney after 314 special meeting. I never said I was going to email the city attorney due to the confusion of this topic. I wanted to speak in person. All the documentation I wanted to submit to David Lindell was done in person. It was the same documentation that I had at the meeting. There was no prior agreement with the librarian or with any of the other members of the board that I was going to share an email or send an email. And the reason why there was no update was because I submitted a packet with my phone number to David Lindell. I then did not receive a call back, and the next week, Larry comes and explains basically what David Lindell told him. It was a verbal opinion, and since then, we have got a different opinion from David Lindell. Where is that right here. So Chelsea actually talked to him about 2 weeks ago, and what he said would match up with what the librarian board president in Wilton said, who's also an attorney, that it would need to be in an ordinance for it to be in effect underneath the home rule charter, which John is absolutely correct. We do not have that. Also, her attorney general's opinion that she submitted, where it speaks on the ability for Grand Forks to increase the number of their library board members, it would then confirm that also by ordinance, so that's page 22 on the tablets, that by ordinance, the city of Grand Forks may increase the number of members of their board because of their home rule charter. It just would be by ordinance. We currently do not have an ordinance, and it seems like there was confusion in the picking because John was not the only one from out of town. We had another person from out of town that was also trying out, as noted in this documentation. So obviously, I just want to say it was a mistake. It was definitely a mistake that we made. Whether it was intentional or not, I wouldn't really say it was intentional. I don't think anyone fully understood how all these pieces fit together. now that we do have a better understanding, I guess it'd be up to us as the commission of, just with the facts, I'm just gonna leave the facts out there. There's a library century code passed by the state legislation that would say that you need to live in the jurisdiction. We have a city library, which would mean that you need to live in the city, right? We are under a home rule charter that requires an ordinance for you to then supersede what state law century code would say. That ordinance does not currently exist. That ordinance would take 2 readings. We currently do not have the backing to have someone from out of town on the library board. So with that said, I guess I would open it up to the commission for motion, second, or discussion on where we'd like to proceed from here.
So where it stands, he shouldn't be on the board and we could discuss an ordinance going forward.
Hmm.
To
Which-
change the wording, but for now, I think facts are.
Mhm.
Does he step down, do we motion, like how, since it's an appointment, how does that work?
You would have to, like you said, would he step down or the commission would just have to motion and second to remove him under these circumstances, which would be regretful because he's an excellent board member, so.
Right, but
But our
it
hands
is
are,
what
hands
it
are pretty,
is.
exactly, that was
So
gonna
he
be,
needs to step down, we can get an ordinance and when it opens up again,
right.
because I do think it makes sense in small rural communities to let people outside of,
Yes,
that use the library be on it, so I would be
Yeah.
for that word.
Right. yeah, because our hands look like they're pretty much tied here regretfully, very regretfully. So
Because to do an ordinance, that takes how long? That
it takes 2 readings, they have to be, like you said, 7 days apart, so but the problem is it's not really the right correction for it, I don't think here, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, that'd be a little bit more of a long-term project, probably wise to before, we have
I'm
some
just giving you the
controversy.
narrowest time frame.
No, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, but before like the sudden rise of interest that then fell off for a little while of being on the library board, like they joked when I first got on that basically anyone with a pulse they'd take, so like please show up sort of thing, like, and we have trouble with some of our boards. That's just the reality of it. Planning and zoning, forestry, we're still missing a member. So it might be wise to look in the future of like, okay, maybe something that can extend beyond. And I guess a logical reason for our library possibly having that would be that his tax dollars do fund our library. McLean Sheridan, we have an agreement with them where they give us money. So and that's his tax dollars going there, flowing down to our library. It's his local library. So it would, at least in my mind, make sense that he'd be able, and an ordinance would be applicable and reasonable for that.
because it's, otherwise it's taxation without representation,
Exactly, right. Yeah.
or the opportunity for representation.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. So that's kind of where it stands right now, but at the moment, with an ordinance, that would be a really long thing, but, so just with how we are in the wrong with him being on there. It's just the straight up facts of it.
So what should our resolve be then? What do you guys recommend? What do you recommend? What do you think we should do?
Sounds like you could pretty easily just motion and remove me, so. It is, as you said, your hands are tied. I think it is a bit of an interruption to the business of the board that we're working through at the moment. I think you discussed some of the other pros and cons that it would be an advantage, I think, to be able to have representation from the area. And yeah, that's my family's library, is the Washburn Library, not McLean Mercer, so.
Right.
But the facts are not clear enough.
So a motion to remove John from the library board? We have to.
I'll regretfully second that. You don't have to be regretful, that's probably no official, but it's still regretfully.
And then open for discussion. I guess just a discussion from myself that you've done an excellent job. The level of organization that you brought, like spreadsheets with color coding. Are you kidding? Like we're going through bylaw changes. You must be an engineer. Like, yeah. So he brings it up. He knows how, and first of all, he knows how to use the PowerPoint. He's up there and he has all these different. You did an excellent job. So thank you so much. But any further discussion?
Nope.
So, roll call vote starting with Tim.
Yes.
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 Thanks for all the hard work you put in there, John. Yeah.
Thank
Yep.
Okay, for our next part, it's library board appointment. I'm going to yield the chair due to conflict of interest because I submitted a letter of intent for the library spot. I would like to ask Tim, with the most board experience, unless anyone would have any objections to chair the meeting for this one agenda item, that would be okay unless anyone else would.
Okay. Okay, we have 3 applicants. Carrie Goose and.
Goes.
Goes, sorry.
That's okay.
And Keith. And Jeremy, okay. What we have done in the past is just simply had you come up one at a time and just ask a few general questions. Was there anyone who would like to go first, or should I just pick someone?
You can pick somebody.
All right, would you like to go first?
Sure.
Okay. And Randy, you're on library board, correct? Jamie, so if there's any questions that you have, it's open for you guys to ask questions too. Okay, could you just give me just kind of a general of why you've applied for this and why you're doing it?
As I said in my email, homeschool mom, 2 boys. We utilize the library a lot via audiobooks, ebooks, physical books. Yeah, we're down there all the time. We spend many a time visiting. I helped clear out when Candy had everything up for donation to clear some space, a lot of it ended up at my house.
You have your own library now.
Yeah. So just love the library. Very much an advocate for learning to read for my kids above all else, because if you can learn how to read and understand what you're reading, you can do anything.
Okay.
Huge fan of the library.
Okay, and then, give myself a note. There's been, in the last couple of years, there's been, some issues and some controversy and things at the library and concerns by the public as far as the type of materials, especially which, in the children's, that type of thing, and just kind of your take on that, how I'm sure you're aware of kind of what it had done, and, while the library was proactive in making sure that the library was safe, especially for children and that type of thing, and for everyone.
Right. So I would not, this is gonna get political a little bit because it just is, the topics of the whole library thing. I would not consider myself a Republican or Democrat, but I am as conservative as they come. I also feel like it's not any one person's job to dictate what my kids read, your kids, anybody else's, like anybody. It's up to the parent to determine what they're gonna allow their kids to read. I have no issue with certain books being in the library. I trust our librarian to not put certain books where they don't belong. I trust her to do that. And again, it's not up to me. It's not up to me and it's not up to anybody else to determine what my kids can and can't read. If there are families out there that are okay, if their kids of any age, adults, whatever, want to read particular material, that's their business. It's not up to me to step in and say, hey, you can't read that. Or it's not up to me. I'm concerned with what my 2 kids read. So that's my take on it.
Jamie, you have any questions?
I guess if you do allow that kind of books, how does that, say you put them in a different spot, how would you wouldn't that put Candy in a position to where how is she going to say that kid gets to that book or something like that that they shouldn't have? Because the parent isn't really gonna go to the library with the kid a lot of times.
Right.
So how, what would that look like? I mean,
That looks like a kid checking out a book that a parent is not gonna agree with, and the parent seeing the book at home and bringing it back. I mean, it's not, Candy is a fantastic librarian, but she's not the parent to our kids. I mean, we as the parents need to step up and kind of pay attention to what our kids are reading, or, you know, I mean, there's Common Sense Media, there's a ton of different resources out there that we can do a little background check on shows, movies, books, all sorts of things. And bring it, you know, I mean, it just, that's my take on it. I mean, I can't, you know, I don't expect Candy to police the 1,300 people that live in this town on what they can and can't read. That's not her job. Her job is to, you know, oversee the library and bring in books and funding and help with all of that, as is, you know, the board and whatever. It's the parents' job to be determining what their kids are reading and what they're not. And if a kid is gonna bring home a book that they don't want him to read, he needs to go right back. I mean, that's my take on it. It just, I don't wanna, it shouldn't be up to Candy. I mean, there's books that my kids have wanted to check out that I don't agree with because I don't agree with them. And it's not because of any woke business, but, and it's like, no, don't find that one here. Like, it's but I'm also in the library with my kids too, so it's just my job to make sure that, and sometimes I let them bring them home and then they just go back to the library the next day because, you know, I don't want to deal with it, but that's my take on it.
Yeah, I have any other questions. Yes, you do, Jamie.
no,
Okay, well, thank you. I guess ladies first, Gary.
Yeah.
That's why she missed the last meeting.
That's why I missed last meeting. I rolled my ankle and then I found out later I have a hairline fracture, so.
That was a bad. Right. And the older we get, we don't do this fast anymore, so I don't know, so.
I just don't feel that old, but you're right.
I'm talking about me.
No, I agree with you, totally.
Well, I guess to start with, if you could just, give us your, why you have applied and what you could bring to the library, why you want to be on there.
Well, first of all, I love the library setting. I've always been that person, even in high school, I helped out with the library back when they had card catalogs and everything. I helped file books away and different things, I just like the atmosphere. I really enjoy seeing what Candy comes up with for the children's programs, and that sidewalk book read is such a brilliant idea, I love that. I have a library card, I live in town. I use the library quite a bit, in fact, I just got a book today that was shipped in from another library. Cause we didn't have it, and I've been attending a lot of the board meetings, so I have a good handle on what's being discussed and what's going on and how it works.
That's good.
Yeah.
Lieutenant was,
Yeah.
especially if you're interested, so, you know.
So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay. And then, you've attended the meetings, so you're aware of the last couple of years, the concern that's been going on at the library as far as, the different types of books that were very accessible to children. And it's kind of an issue that's been going on in a number of libraries across the nation. A lot of publicity with it. I guess just a general question, what is your take on, all of this?
Well, frankly, I agree with her on pretty much everything. I think parents need to be more involved and watching what their children read, because I feel like if they don't see it or get it at the library, guess what? They're gonna get it through their phones, they're gonna get it through computers, they're gonna, and that's not supervised very well at all. So if there's a way that through books that, and with the parents being there and being involved in watching the selections and, you know, maybe explaining things, or saying, you know, you're too young for this right now. You know, let's wait a year or two and then we'll talk about it again. But I think the parents need to be a little bit involved in that too.
So as far as the library, do they, the responsibility to keep some of that material away from children or?
Well, Candy's not one that's gonna let anything real bad come in. She's got common sense and she is so good and we're so lucky to have her. And I, you know, I just don't see her ever bringing in anything that would be really inappropriate.
That's all I've got. Anybody else? You're not in the mood to grill somebody? Okay. Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're still using their camera.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yep.
Good.
Keith? Okay. Let's see. Can ask you the same question, if you could just give us a general statement of why you have been involved with the library board and why you would like to continue, I guess, in your case.
Sure, yeah, I've been on the library board for the past 2 years, been at all the meetings except for the last one, I babysit was sick. So, been very involved with that, I guess, overall, to be on the library board, to basically help out our community, you know, obviously facilitate learning and the free expression of ideas and everything else that is involved with that. We did have some controversy, obviously, when we were on the library board. I am very by the book. I like to operate by bylaws. So if we're going to have bylaws, it's kind of unreasonable to not operate by them. One instance of the controversy we had was with a book grant that was way more slanted in a certain political direction. According to our bylaws, when those ideas are introduced, it should be at a 1-to-1 ratio. This was at about 70 to 100 ratio, so let's you divide that out, whatever that may be, it's like 7 to 10. So it was very unbalanced in the content of these books. I didn't think it was wise to go against what our bylaws have previously stated, what people have voted on, to then inject this sort of political ideology into our library. So the library unanimously decided to not go along with those. As well as the removal of us from the ALA. I did lots of research and look into the American Library Association and the obvious political ideology that they push. I think a library should be a neutral place for ideas, not slanted, whether conservative or liberal or whatever it may be. It should be for the fair expression of ideas and not just a constant stream of this one thing coming down. So presented some evidence in that regard. Some of that evidence included a bunch of findings from books found in children's sections from across our state. I also ran a website called protectnorthdakotakids.org where I categorized a bunch of books found in local libraries, from small ones like Valley City to Dickinson, whatever it may be, so parents could make informed decisions on what their children were getting into, picking up. It had good book reviews, as well as if there was objectionable content, then they could quickly see that and then be able to discern for themselves if they wanted their children reading that.
Okay.
So,
And I think you've already answered it, but in all fairness to the other two, you know, with what has transpired in the back is in the past, the issues of, you know, books that were inappropriate being in the children's section. If you would want to explain any more, you know, on that, what your take is on that, what your stand is on that.
yeah, there's lots of accusations that we were banning books, and I have since day one asked for a single book that we have banned. None has been provided to me to date because we did not ban any books. We did not ban any genres of books. We mainly want to keep our library as a neutral place for ideas. And claiming inaction or kind of hands-off approach, I don't think is appropriate when there's certain sides that are on the offensive. You don't necessarily have to go on the offensive back, but definitely maintain what we have as a democracy where people can have the free sharing of ideas, not have a certain political ideology pushed. With that in mind, people will say that it's not appropriate or that one person should not decide what another child reads or that sort of thing, but us as a community, we do have standards, and we probably all agree that, you know, gay porn should not be in the preteen section, especially graphic depictions of it, and that's what is rampant across our state and country at this time, so that's kind of what we're up against. And it can even look, you don't know by the cover, you don't know by this, you can only see it when they're hiding underneath their bed and it's been checked out for a long time, and they have an addiction or something like that, you know, it's very damaging to people, the after effects of this. And it's as a community that we need to obviously protect the central like marketplace of ideas, but at the same time be reasonable in what we choose. And with, you know, people will say that it's not appropriate for one person to make the decision. Well, our librarian does make that decision, so she gets to choose what's in the pool, and then people draw from that pool. And then in coordination with the board, I guess if you did pick me, you would have more of an active approach to this, and being able to help defend from certain, you know, more objectionable content, or at least make it known to others what they're checking out with full disclosure, so then parents can be informed. That'd be my main goal. So parents can make informed decisions for their kids.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Keith? Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Okay. What's left of us as commissioners? So, any comments on anything that?
I guess with losing one member already and a new commissioner in there, I guess, I would say first, are we gonna do two at a time or just one at a time?
You can probably, can do one at a time if you wanna do that, or what are your feelings, Miranda? Maybe do one at a time, I mean, that would be a side suggestion, but.
Can I,
You
it's
can go
just
ahead. No, go ahead.
discussion.
Oh,
Yeah, you can, I was just answering his question.
Yeah, just a comment, I had, since I was appointed in October, my term would have expired next year. The meetings are quarterly, so it would have been between the August and November meeting. You may want to specify if you're filling my vacancy.
Right.
Correct.
Whether that's
Right.
Yes.
for the remainder of the term.
Thank you, John, for bringing that up. You're absolutely right. So one of them would be to fill his unexpired term. So, and then the other one would be a full term, Chelsea,
Correct.
which is 3
3 years.
3 years. Okay. So we would want to do them separately then, you know.
My general discussion was just, since Keith's already on the commission and his wife's on the library board, like, I would lean towards just getting more diverse people into the public sector. It just makes sense in my head that, you know,
Yeah, and I can see your point there. If you go ahead and
that's,
shoot
I guess that's
Yeah.
it, I'm just rambling.
You know, if we had a library board with a lot of experience, I
Right,
would lean that way.
right,
But the reason why elections are staggered is,
Right.
and let's just recall everybody who's thrown out, the reason they're staggered is so that you have consistency of experience.
right.
And we're losing, you know, a very good resource and experience with John. And I would lean the other direction, at least with one of them, for Keith to keep that experience and the research that he
Right.
brought. You know, because, you know, we have I'm on a committee right now that is really lacking in experience. You know,
Right.
we're struggling because of it, you know, so, and I don't wanna see that happen again.
Right.
You know, so that's why I would lean towards Keith being appointed for at least one of those terms to keep that continuity going before you bring on someone, a freshman member in again. Just, yeah,
I guess I should have asked if they had other board experience, or as she mentioned, she's been at board meetings for
right, yeah,
a long, long time.
Plus, I'm the president of our women's group, and it's a
Yeah.
formal
And-
board.
And that's all good stuff, but there's things that are specific to the board that you're gonna serve on too, I guess is the part I was looking for.
But I've been going, so I know what's been going on.
Yep.
So,
Well, let's fill the unexpired term of John first. So that would be till, not this, a year and a half?
It's
Really
about,
just a
it's
year.
about a year.
Yeah, like October of 25. If he was appointed in October of 22, it'd be October of 25.
Okay.
Next meeting's November, so.
Okay.
To be all fairness, I guess, maybe, since it's a shorter term, put Keith to that position. I guess I'll have to make a motion,
Yeah, you would have to move for that, so.
and then, to take into consideration that you're right, you know, his wife is on there, so maybe the shorter term. I guess I nominate Keith to take, John's, position,
Yeah, okay, rest of the term.
the rest of the term.
Okay.
Nominated.
Pardon me?
You said you nominate?
All right, I make a motion.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, make a motion to nominate Keith.
Oh, you've been working on that, okay.
Okay, sorry. Okay, is there a second? I'll second that. Okay, any more discussion? Not, roll.
Yes.
No, but
That's okay. Yes. So then this would be for a 3-year term. So I would look for a motion for someone to nominate. Actually, it's an appointment, sorry. Yeah, motion to appoint.
just with her experience in the library, I would motion for Carrie to take the other seat.
We have a second. for,
I'll second that.
Okay, to appoint Gary. Any other discussion concerning it? Jamie?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I will yield back this warm chair to you, Keith.
Okay, moving on to the next agenda item, City Park Board Committee. So as we decided last month to send me to the Park Board, remember that I had 4 pages of the documentation of basically, are these things issues, should we talk to them, should this be more formal, whatever it may be. That was in our last meeting, didn't have any questions about what was there, or remember all that sort of stuff, or?
Yep.
So basically, they have issues with none of that. We're good to go. We're at peace with the park board. That's wonderful, fantastic. There was a really good kind of comment made that maybe we should just formalize what is currently happening, so there isn't questions in the future of like, who's this, who's doing this, who's doing that. So, and I know we have attempted this sort of thing in the past. We tried to put out this sort of thing, but we're looking to get it done this time. So we're looking to just simply document what's happening right now. So whether it's perfect or ideal, whatever, that would be to be decided at a later point, but merely so just be in writing somewhere between the 2 parties. They have a 2-person committee. We'd be looking for a 2-person committee to be on that, to merely just, okay, you're mowing what, we're doing this, we're doing that, documented, and then brought back to the separate boards just to look at, approve, that sort of thing. So if like buildings and grounds or something had some suggestions, or whoever had some suggestions, they could then put their input and we could look for changes or whatever it may be, but that just so it'll be in writing or just somewhere, so there isn't, hopefully we'll clear up confusion and be able to just facilitate a continued good relationship with it's always best to have terms set out.
Yeah, first of all, I'm not interested, so I just, I've been down that road and I don't think I'm the right one for the job. But I would like to see, you've kind of brainstormed this, so I'd like to see you be one of them, Keith. I don't know, Jamie, if you're interested, or Miranda, you know.
We're kind of talking about making some SOPs, like standard operating procedures.
Maybe not yet. So if that would be a thing in the future,
Thanks, John.
sure, for sure. But right now, it's just a raw data gathering, right? So what is currently happening? So they wouldn't be SOPs, it'd be, what are the Ps, right now, you know? So that if there's a standard or not, but so it's less of like a gentleman's agreement, like, okay, we'll mow this part, you mow that part, but rather it's just written out, because then we'd have someone actually make SOPs if that was a desire later, for sure. So.
I think I think that's a little bit farther down the road there. I think this is more of just, if there are some differences or there aren't differences or some definitions, it's, what is a definite line? What is a line that we help each other out on? If I'm assuming that type of a thing, more.
Two of the main concerns that need to be discussed, relating back to that with the bathrooms and with those picnic shelters, because neither of those are insured. So one entity needs to say that they're gonna be responsible for them and get them insured.
And to my understanding, Judy was still looking into that. Has she talked to you since then? Because at the park board meeting, she was going to talk to Mike and kind of figure some stuff out with that.
Okay, I guess I have not heard any different.
Gotcha. Because it appeared as if she was pretty sure they were theirs, and obviously that's been a big back and forth, and that's definitely something we'll need to figure out, right? So just in case if anyone's not aware, the basic gist of it is they own the park, but there is a technical road that goes through there, and then there's obviously boundary limits to that road, and roads are owned by cities, which is city property. So then the thing is, it's like, okay, was this built on city property, and if so, did the city build it? Did the park board build it? I believe Adam was around that time with the bathrooms, so might have some knowledge, but obviously we'd want to find minutes and that sort of stuff. But so just to give you, I just want to give you a heads up, it's like 10 years ago, right? So it's kind of hard to figure out the exact nuts and bolts with it, but I don't see why not. Just as boards, we couldn't be like, okay, we own it, let's propose it, they accept it, come back, good to go from now on. Just something along those lines. So everything we're looking to do, part of this committee would just be checking. Okay, Judy, did we figure it out? Nope. Okay, well then get the ball rolling. We'll take responsibility. They'll take responsibility. We can figure something out there. So just to get something definite. That would be phase 2. Phase 1, it would be just mainly figuring out, just writing down the responsibilities. So.
If I may.
Yeah, of course.
Do you need 2 commissioners on this committee? Because obviously you're gonna be talking to me, so why am I just not on this committee?
No, I actually feel bad because I should have talked to you before this.
Oh, that's okay,
I
but-
was thinking about you. Yes, yeah, I was definitely thinking about you being a part of it. I would also, I'm obviously not in control of the park board, but Chris Duval would be a great resource for this. He does a lot of great work for them. So,
Maybe that is a good idea, Commissioner and Adam.
yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I would move that we appoint Keith and Adam to that committee.
There's a move. Is there a second?
I second it.
Moving a second. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. We'll move to roll call vote.
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
Yes.
Abstain.
Thanks,
Okay,
Adam.
vote passes, and it's you and I for that. Wonderful. We'll just be in touch and then we'll figure it out. Sounds good to me. Okay. Excellent. So,
Yes, excuse me, I never thought of that it didn't have to be a commissioner, so sorry about that. So,
next up on the list, we have City of Washburn CD evaluation 2024. And as we see highlighted in yellow there, big thank you to Haley Anderson from True Community Bank for pointing this out and providing this idea. So the basic gist of this, it was submitted with the meeting packet, but just so everyone can know, we have CDs, so certificate of deposits with the bank here. The primary reason for those is for bonding, if I understand correctly, Chelsea, for bonding. So big money, so then there'd be something to be able to pay those bonds back if something did happen, right, or whatever may happen. Our current rate with those CDs is 0.6. So just to be clear, 0.6%, that would be less than 1%, yes. The other one is 2.4 and the other one's 2.9. Haley was so kind to let us know that it's actually, you can get them for 4.4 now. So thank you, Haley, again. Wow, it's amazing. So I made a little spreadsheet thing here. It's nothing too fancy, but basically, just to give people an idea of the size of these, one of them is for $360,000, right? So that's gonna be probably one of the primary bond ones. The other one is for $13,000. There's obviously change there, I'm just rounding, and then $11,000. I broke them down, they'll be labeled as CD1 is the big one, CD2 is the medium one, CD3 is the smallest one that I named off. For CD1, the one at the 0.6%, we're currently expected $2,000 in interest. So obviously there's a penalty, because we're talking about early withdrawal of CDs in this regard. There's a penalty for doing that. So you'd ask, well, why would we want to do that? Well, they do disclose that penalty, and also that penalty is based on interest rate. Due to this being such a low interest rate, low penalty. Very nice. So the penalty is only $1,000 in terms of $360,000 for CD1, and that'll be the primary one we focus on because the other ones are not as much here. So for my potato math here, I basically just broke it down to what the penalty is. Obviously, you subtract that from the total deposit. Then you have your deposit after the penalty. The current interest estimated, I put that in there as well, which is $2,000. And then I put the interest rate of the new CD, which would be 4.4 for 1 year. If you scroll down 2 pages, it shows you they had 6-month 4.4, 12-month 4.4, 18-month 4.0, and 24-month 3.5. So those were the current very nice rates that they had. So then the expected interest for 1 year is almost $16,000, which, to be clear, is an increase of almost $15,000. So simply by taking a penalty of $1,000, we make $15,000. So a pretty good idea there, but you're probably wondering what that bottom part is, the after subtracting current expected interest. So there is a penalty, but then there's also expected interest for our current CD. The way I kind of think about it is like, let's say you get a job working for $10 an hour. You quit that job and you get a job working for $20 an hour. You're not making $20 more an hour, you're making $10 more an hour. In the same way, just because this is 4.4 does not mean we're fully making that big number, because there was a opportunity cost to switch of that 0.6%. Be it small, it still counts. So I wanted to accurately portray the actual money we'd be making, which would be right around $13,000. And as I put in green, that is very nice, because it'd probably be maybe like 20 minutes of work. Maybe, I don't know. I did a CD, it took 10 minutes. So it didn't seem too bad. So I guess we could just start there as a baseline before I just jabber off a bunch of numbers. Any questions, comments, public, anything?
Where's the CDs with? Who's the CDs with?
True Community Bank.
Well, you know, one thing that CDs have done, over the last few years that is really non-traditional is that your short-term ones are gaining more interest than your long-term ones. Mm-hmm. So if we are gonna do something, why not, go with the short-term ones, because it's available without penalty then. It wouldn't make any sense to lock it up longer and get less interest. And then you also have opportunity to make changes if you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I did start doing a little breakdown of like, well, for the 2 years it was this, but it almost like equaled out where it's like, okay, so we'll just wait 2 years to make 12,000 instead of in 1 year. Obviously it provides you then more safety if the interest rates go down or whatever, but if they go much lower than 0.6, it's not gonna make that much of a difference because you can only go to 0, so it's like that little bit of margin and then like, anyways.
You're almost paying them to keep our money right now. So.
Yeah, so that's what I have for the first one. I'll briefly just touch on the second ones. The second ones are at a higher rate, so 2.4. So same process as before. The CD2 is at 13,000. The penalty for withdrawal is $153. The deposit, you can see it there. I did the same sort of opportunity cost with it. We'd be making about $105. Somewhat worth it for signing the piece of paper, right? We can just roll it all into one CD, I believe. Do they need to be multiple CDs? Like for any legal reasons? I don't know.
Are these earmarked for anything? I mean, are these,
Yes, I believe one of, well, I know one of these is for, the smaller one, I believe, is for one of our water bonds. Cause we have to have a percentage of our bonds to cover those. I guess I don't know why we couldn't make it into one. But that would maybe be a question to ask.
Just as long as it remained earmarked is kind of the idea.
Yeah,
It might be more complicated though, because then would you not have to like earmark the interest too, or something weird like that?
so
you
that
have
water
something
one
separate.
might have to remain separate.
Yeah,
are these in the general fund or are they in different,
They have their own line item.
they have their own?
Yep.
so yeah, basically CD one making 12.6, right? CD two making $100, that's worth 15 minutes, in my opinion at least. CD three, this one's for 11,000, 2.9, just based on the expiration and everything. We would actually be making 80 cents, so, I don't know. So it might be worthwhile leaving that one alone. If anyone really has a gumption to get that, then we definitely can.
Did you, is there any way to negotiate with them if we, can we take one penalty for all three and just take them into one CD at a, how am I saying that? Because we're talking about taking penalties on CD 2 and 3. I mean, can we negotiate one penalty for all three? And
I would doubt that because that's all predetermined. It's all predetermined in like, cause then you like sign the little piece of paper and you put it in our safety deposit box, you know, so it's all right there when you sign up for it. So it'd be kind of like negotiating a deal we made a few years ago. It's not like a thing that's coming, it's a thing that was there that we already signed on to my understanding at least. As for possible with interest rates, it may be 4.5, how you doing, you know, like that sort of thing, maybe, I don't know. But as for the actual penalty, what do you guys think?
never hurts to ask.
Yeah, I could, can I ask on that? And you'd be saying if that was for like all three, like specifically,
Yeah.
because there's three of
If we
them.
could pay the one penalty and then just roll them into, you know, combine them all together and take them all to 4.4.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to look into if we need to keep them separate for whatever reason though. Cause it's all gonna be the same like at the end, just because of, yeah, it'd be pretty much the same, but if we could combine them, I guess maybe make a little bit more.
Yeah. And I guess I don't know, obviously they were taken out at 3 different times, and that's why there's 3 different ones, because that money had to be put aside, I know, for one of those bonds. But redoing it, if they can be all combined into one with that money, obviously still being adequate enough to cover.
Yeah, so I guess just going forward, we could decide if we want to do all three, if we just want to do the first two, if we just want to do the first one, if we want to do none of them. I guess we, you know, kind of start with a discussion in that direction.
I mean, penalties on the small ones aren't that big. I guess it just fall back to whether they have to be kept separate or they can be lumped in to take the 3 into 1. Because even on the third one, you're still not going backwards by taking the penalty. I mean,
Right. Yeah, I guess I would motion for us to reinvest these CDs at 1 year with at least 4.4.
Oh, sorry.
Let's wait maybe a second. We can amend it, I guess. So at least 4.4 in a single CD, if able. If not, 3 separate CDs at the same terms or better. Then it'll be a second.
I have a question, wouldn't that be up to the bonding company if they wanted, if they could do that? They could combine it.
That's why I would ask.
Whether it's possible or not.
We need a second.
Read a second.
Oh, second.
So with the second, if there's any amendments to the prior motion, we could do that. Trigger a discussion in regards to that.
Well, this will give us opportunity to get some information, whether it's even possible or not.
Yeah, definitely move us in that direction.
I would say no on the 12-month. The 6-month and the 12-month is both 4.4. And if you need that money sooner, is this something we can take out for something, or is this it has to stay in there for how long? How long do we have to?
As long as we continue to have our debt limit that we have, they're gonna have to stay in there.
There,
Okay.
Yep.
Other question, is this fixed interest?
So it's APY, I believe it's not like compounding like credit cards every month or whatever, but not a year, I believe, is that how it works?
I believe so.
Yeah, so it'd be 12 months, and then on the 12th month, you get 4.4% flat rate. And that can either be reinvested or, do you have any comments, Richard, or corrections?
CDs are compounded,
Right, but it's when it's
it's
applied.
not simple interest, it's compounded.
They say simple on here.
Yeah, these ones do say simple, right. The accrual method is simple, and you are right, there is different CDs, right? Yeah, there's compounding ones, and it's at the point of interest where it's not like that daily, the most powerful
Mhm.
thing in the world is compound interest. Benjamin Franklin said it much nicer than that, but yeah, so it's not like that. It's on the date, and they predetermine what it is and that sort of thing. So yes, so I'm sorry, Jamie, you were saying that you'd rather not go 6 months or 1 year.
Well, I guess if you knew, it was more like, say we put money in for a piece of equipment and you found a great deal on a piece of equipment in 6 months. It's great, but I guess I don't know the full information about like how, like we have to keep these in here for like at least a year. This money has to,
They're long-term.
Right. Yeah,
Because
they're not accessible.
we have bonds through 2036.
so this is nothing we can
So-
touch anyway to do anything else with.
Not currently, no.
So would the 6-month make more money than the 12-month, cause you'd get the interest and then redo it if it's,
The only
or
thing
not,
is that
if it stays
6
high?
months and it went down to 3, then no, you would lose. So it's kind of where you want to gamble at.
Right,
And
then I like 12.
I like the 1 year, the 12 months.
It could be a marginal gain. Yes, Richard?
This is an election year, all bets are off of what the rate will be after the election, the day after.
True.
So
Yeah.
you could go from, if it's 4-point-some% to 0.6% across the board the day after. Gotcha.
So that's basically where it would sit right now. To answer your question, Jamie, if it's a 6-month CD, it would need to be there for 6 months, or you get the penalty.
Yeah. I guess knowing that we have to keep that money as what would you call it, collateral or
Basically.
Yeah, it's,
you have to keep it there anyway, so I guess and these are CDs, so they're fixed, right? I guess, they're not gonna, they're for sure fixed.
For that time period, right? Yep.
Okay.
So for that time period, they are fixed. Then when the 12 months is up, you get a letter. I think it's 7 days, and you can either reinvest the interest, take out the interest, take out the whole CD, or it just like auto renews without
Auto-renew.
respond. And then prior to setting up the CD, I believe you get to choose if it's reinvested, the interest, or if it's just deposited into an account. So you can do that. You could, try and figure that out too. If this is for debt stuff, it might be best just to reinvest it. But with our motion and second, I guess, would there be any
Are you,
amendments?
are you saying we could take like that $12,000 and put it into another account and then maybe like to the general fund or the interest made?
I mean, as long as it was prior to that, I don't think we could do a water and sewer and then take the interest out into a general fund. I think we could do stuff like that. I think it has to like stay with its own little friends or whatever.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, we need to double check on that.
But I know we have one of these, I know the smaller one is for water and sewer, and that one is, we have one of those bonds until 2034.
I think the interest, I'm not sure, has to stay designated for what the bond is for. You know, I'm not sure. Depends how creative you are in your accounting, but I think the interest needs to stay with the CD and because that's what the collateral is for those bonds.
Well, that'd be the safest, wouldn't it? I mean,
It would
keeping
be.
it with it.
Because, you know, like when you mentioned equipment purchases, that's why we have one cent sales. You know, one of the reasons. So,
You wanna restate what you're,
Yeah, for sure. So, I guess, did you write it down?
I did, yes.
Okay, if you wouldn't mind just reading it off then, please.
Okay, so habit motion to reinvest these CDs at least 4.4 in a single CD if able, if not, 3 separate at same terms, if not better.
Mhm.
Is that good?
Right, and the reason why I say if not better is because, like you said, you doesn't have to ask, you know, so we ask 4.5, it's like, oh, the commission only said 4.4, I better go back, you know, so that way, if it's better, you know, we won't take worse, so.
at least.
at least 4.4%.
Yep.
So motion second, that's in discussion, is there any amendments, to that? If not, I guess we move to voting.
Yes.
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 Yes. And if it'd be okay with you guys, as finance, I'll do that, I can go talk to Chelsea and figure out exactly how to do that. Okay, next agenda item, City of Washburn, insurance agent of record. Chelsea has some information regarding this agenda.
Okay, so we have been working through our renewal with Western Frontier, which they carry all our buildings, our structures outside. Our renewal currently that we have with Mike Nelson, that is coming up for renewal, which is due October 12th. We have our inland marine, our automobiles, and business with him. Mainly our automobiles, in-house coverage, all the contents within this building, not the actual structure of the building. There's been some things missed. One of, I guess, the reasons is I've talked to both Mike and Jesse. It's up to the city whether or not we want to keep our 2 accounts with each respective insurance agent. If we would want to roll everything over to one or the other, we could do that. Is there some benefit to the city? Yes, only in the fact that things couldn't be missed. For example, the ambulance took out their own policy in 2013 on their inland marine, their automobiles, and it was just caught that the city has since 2013 insured 2 ambulances on our policy that had their own policy. Also, one of those ambulances has been gone. So, kind of a big miss. Just caught that. We're getting those taken care of and deleted. Pros and cons, I guess, to having both. They are both in town. Both agents here. They've both been good to work with. So it's kind of up to the commission, I guess, if we want to keep both our policies and keep them with the respective agents, or if we want to look at combining everything all into one and having just one agent so that everything's under the same roof and they know exactly what's covered and what's not.
Has there been any communication with either agency to see whether they would like to just have the whole package, you know, versus being shared or?
Sure. Yes, I have talked to both of them. they both have kind of said the same thing. They don't care what the city does, if one wants it or the other. They're good with keeping it. I guess if we want to keep them separate, they're kind
So
of,
either way, they don't.
yeah, I
I know both.
wanted to talk to Mike today, so I called him just to make sure that they were on the same page if this was a thing. How he would feel if the city did want to go one way or the other, and he is good with, he enjoys working with the city. He said he's had our policy for many years. He would like to continue that. If the city wants to roll it over, I'll go one way or all to him. I mean, he said he's good with whatever. There is some benefit for the city having it all under one, but it's also, like we've been doing it, so it's okay.
There'd probably be fewer things falling through the cracks if it was with one agency, I would assume.
Would one cost less than the other, or would it be pretty negligible, if we went all with one?
I think it's identical, isn't it, because it goes through the state? They're just-
Yeah, so they both do use NDRF. It's just keeping those policies with each respective agent
Right.
and using both of them because they are both in town.
Right.
So
How often do things fall through? Like, what's the, monetary value of the whoopsies that happen?
well, this over the 11 years was like $25,000. There's been something missed, like the water salesman wasn't insured, but that wasn't because it was crossover of agents. That was just missed. That's the first thing that I guess I found. And that maybe could have been better communication between whoever was here for the city at that time and when the ambulance decided to roll over that policy. Obviously that communication was not there. So that's in the past. I guess that's nothing that we can do our part to do better going forward. And keeping them informed of what we add or delete, or, same with, so.
I guess just on that topic specifically, I did talk to the secretary for the ambulance board and the president. They assured me that they are good to go with insurance. 'Cause I didn't want to because I'm on the ambulance, so I was like, oh, by the way, we don't have insurance, and then there's something that got missed or whatever. So they have been communicated with, and they assured me that they are good to go on insurance, and we can decide what we want in terms of with that.
So they have their own insurance, they don't have to be under ours, is that what you're saying?
Correct, yeah, they said that they are sufficiently insured in all regards by themselves.
Okay.
So I know the two ambulances, an email was sent to Mike to get those off of our automobile. There is a question about a building being insured for like $50,000. So I have to look into that tomorrow because I just found that out at the end of the day today, whether or not what that building is for sure, and if it needs to have the coverage. So.
Just to say, it might be your building, Gene.
Yeah.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
So yeah, wouldn't that be wonderful? Yeah.
So that might be another one that has had insurance on it that we didn't realize, so.
I guess with our own stuff, we sit down with our agent once a year and we go over the buildings, we go over the vehicles, equipment and stuff like that. And then drivers, is that something we do with either one of these guys? Do they come in? Do we sit down with them?
Yep. Jesse's been here multiple times. If we keep both our policies separate, I will meet with Mike this week because we have to get our inland marine and automobile renewal going because that renews is due October 12th.
Other way you can do it if either keep it the way it is or have both parties write up a quote. And if you did split it up to going to one versus two of them, I guess.
But we have to decide before our next regular meeting, so. Right?
But you said the quote would be the same, I think.
It should be because it ultimately falls back with NDRF,
Right.
which is through the state. That's what they both go through. So unless there's different things that they're adding on as an agency, but they should relatively be the same
I think that'd be the
from
only
either
The
agent.
only difference is if the one would insure something for more than the other one, but, that type of thing. Otherwise, it's a state-run insurance agency. licensure through the state. They're just the agent that handles it.
And you can leave it as is for another year if we wanna, I mean, it's, if we do it, yeah, we would have to do it at this meeting, otherwise it would renew and would go for another year, so.
I like the idea of spreading out to, everybody, if you feel confident that these things won't, happen again with the continuity and lessons learned, and, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, do you think, would it be easier to go to one? Not necessarily, like, do you feel confident in the?
I mean, I think they're both kind of written already, the policies are there. So I don't,
Say we approve this, can we still in the meantime ask them, get a quote for each one of them if they did, if you want to go that way and have them quote it out, if you want to go one way, like next year, would we look at getting a quote all from one and all from the other? Or-
we could, say like, is July 1, so I'd come April, possibly just because there's months in there of things that could be added or deleted
Okay.
in that meantime, I think,
So if there's no changes needed, there really isn't, is there approval needed then? 'Cause
No.
Yeah.
right, no,
Unless the
there
only
would not be.
approval we need is if we're gonna change something.
If we wanna just leave it as is, we'll just continue doing it, I will set up my appointment with Mike, we'll meet this week, go over, what's been, if there's been any additions or where we're sitting and making sure that everything, our building contents are covered.
I don't know what the school does now, but what they used to do is they would, I think there was 3 agents at that time, but they went on a rotation basis where this agency would take it for, well, I don't remember if it was 2 or 3 years, then it would go to that one, then it would go to that one. I don't know if they still do that or not, but under the same thing, like you said, so that everyone was, instead of splitting it, they found it easier just to carry it for those 3 years and then hand the thing off to, so, not to muddy the waters anymore, but that was another option too, way back when, so. And that was with Endorf also.
And with how it's currently structured, like, is it like structures are specifically with these guys and vehicles and equipment are specifically over here, or is there?
Yes,
Oh, it is.
yes.
So, I mean, there might even be some like amount discrepancies there, like buildings might be worth more, vehicles might be worth more, so if we were to do it on a cycling basis, I guess if we're looking to share business with local agents, it might be wiser to do it on such a rotating sort of thing like that, because then it's not like this guy's getting 30 and this guy's getting 70 forever, we'd rather.
They get the whole package and then they get the whole package and then they get it,
Yeah, if there's ever a structure fire, there's no,
Right.
Well, he was supposed to have this or she, or whatever, so that might be something to look at for that reason.
And I don't think that we could say it'd be swap back and forth for the next, every 3 years forever. I think it'd just be wise to put it under renewal for 3 years, so then whoever's on the commission at that time would then be able to, it would just come up, it would have to come up, because it's, oh, our insurance is expiring, so it'd have to be discussed and then kind of talked about then. So I guess we could go with one for a set amount of time, whatever that may be. So that way it would rotate, rather than we're switching here forever, but rather we'll go with one for these amount of years, might be a good idea, because then that would help spread a little bit.
I don't know, I think that would be okay, but if each agent then did that, so now one takes this policy for this 3 years, does all the legwork, gets everything up to date, fills out their whole spreadsheet of all the contents.
Yep.
And then 3 years later, you switch it to another one, then they kind of have to start all over. That would be kind of, the only thing that they weren't in favor of.
Oh, that makes sense. Yep. So then, but then down the road, after you got the initial setup period, would it then be just an update, or would they have to go through the whole process?
Well, after 3 years, they'd have to, make sure that everything's up to date then of what was added or deleted in those 3 years, that they didn't have the policy, to then get it up to speed to where it would be current. Because I don't know that they would share those spreadsheets back and forth, I don't know.
Because that could
Right.
cause even more confusion than we currently have, I guess.
Right.
If that's the case.
Yes.
If you're redoing the process multiple times.
Well, I mean, in a way, honestly, like especially contents, you're supposed to keep kind of pictures and documentations, receipts, what you have. Or some of that insurance doesn't really apply because it's your word versus them, what you have,
No proof?
you have no proof. So I mean, I think it's in the city's best interest to have a document of what you have and what you're insuring. So if, God forbid it did happen, you actually have the documentation for it. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. Whether everybody does or not, probably not, but I think that's what you're supposed to do. So.
I don't know, Western required the ambulance. We have everything listed. And they required it. And it was on us to make the list and then verify. It wasn't on the agent. The agent said, okay, what do you want insured? You have to have a list. We can't insure something we don't have on the list. So it's not on the agent, it's on us. It's on us to know what we got insured and don't have insured, not them.
Yeah, that's the way I understood it too. You're
That's
supposed to
exactly
do
how it
that.
was.
So,
We had to explain to it. We meet them every year to make sure we have everything correct.
That's true, I'm literally working on that tomorrow for the ambulance. You have to, each item, how many, value, oh, that's what I had to do for my business as well, I'm sure you for your business, so. Yeah, I guess it would be reasonable for for records that we would have as well, just in general, because, you know, I'm sure the gentlemen here do great work and that sort of stuff, maybe something could get missed, then we'd have our own documentation, like, oh, by the way, this is what we submitted, this is what we've always had, I don't know, something to consider, I guess.
I was just relaying the message.
No, for sure.
Don't shoot the messenger.
Right.
so maybe going to Tim's ideal of every 3 or 4 years or whatever it is would force the city to, in that end of 3 years, okay, this is what we've got rid of, this is what we have, and then you maybe you'd switch it to the other guy or whatever. Or,
Well, if we're unsure, then we should probably examine this over the next year so that because we're pushed up against the deadline. I don't believe we need action to leave it the same, it just automatically renews with each agent. And I guess that would fall probably on finance or whatever to look and bring us some recommendations sometime in my lifetime, so.
Is there any further discussion, public comment, anything as to that? Not hearing any, okay. So we're moving on to the next agenda item, plat approval, boat ramp addition.
Okay, so the planning and zoning met a week ago, I believe. The property down underneath by the boat ramp down there up past River Egg around that was surveyed by Aaron. So what we need to do is, it was approved by planning and zoning before the transfer can be made, the park board property versus the city property, this needed to be done. We just need a motion and a second to approve the plot as surveyed so that Cassie at Lindell can get the deeds transferred for the property on Main Street versus down here. So I would move that the city commission approve the plot as recommended by planning and zoning.
Second.
It's kind of just a housekeeping thing is all it is, so.
Okay, further discussion on the approval of that plot. Public comment? Nothing. Okay, starting voting with Tim.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, number 17, cell phone usage during meetings. I believe Tim, you had something for this as well.
Well, the only thing I had is that there may be, just so people are aware as far as their cell phone usage during meetings, they may or may not be open to public record from the time the meeting is called to order till the time it's adjourned. So just kind of I mean, there are some times when you might have some documentation on there concerning the city, but, just, I don't know whether, the new one, like Miranda and those were aware that could be open to the public records law of being, I saw that you're on your phone and somebody for whatever reason wants to know what was on there, you'd have to turn over that. So just so that people know.
Yeah, it might be a good thing in the future to add to that handbook thing, just so
Right,
people are
yeah.
aware. But
So it's just an informational thing is all, so.
that, just so everyone knows, that also includes anything you bring to a meeting, including this piece of paper. So if anyone would love one of these fancy scribbled on things, just let me know. I can make you a copy after the meeting, but anything you would, so like this or that would be available for that, just so everyone's aware of that. And if anyone would like to see that from the public, you're welcome to see that as well. Just so we have open and transparent, because we live in a sunshine state, as it's termed. Okay. Speaking of sunshine, we're moving on to summer hours. Just a quick report on that and possible implementation going forward. We did talk about this in HR, like pros, cons, was there a riot? Like, did it go bad? You know, did it go good? That's what we wanted to know. So Chelsea, how was summer hours?
Great.
Wonderful. So then from a public standpoint, was there any complaints, major issues, on call, anything like that, or?
Not that I heard, to my knowledge anyway.
And I mean, we did talk and just be open, like we talked in HR, like, was it easy on Fridays to do those 4 hours? You know, like, were smaller projects saved, or especially if you're out in the field, like that sort of stuff, how did that handle? The report was, yeah, it was just fine with that in regard. No issues with that. So when we implemented this, it was on a trial basis. We wanted to experiment, other people were doing it, good for employer morale and just that sort of thing. But I guess if we had other discussion or motion to implement it or revisit at a later time.
From your standpoint, Adam, you guys accomplished what you would on a normal summer? With the,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, it did actually helped quite a bit, because there are some things we need to do earlier before people arrive, let's say on Main Avenue. And normally we come in early to do that, and
You're already
now we
here.
were already here, so it actually worked out.
I guess I would motion to implement summer hours as they were this year.
As ongoing as far as,
Yeah, as they were this year, just
Yep.
forever, I guess. I don't know until it's changed, but
till some commission decides to change it. Yeah,
motion on the table, is there a second?
I'll second it.
A motion and a second, further discussion?
You should clarify when to when.
I don't remember, that's why I said for how it was, I apologize.
Memorial Day till Labor Day. So the office hours go Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 4:30, 8 to noon on Friday.
Okay, thank you so much, Larry, for the point of order. I'd like to amend my motion with what Chelsea just said. Looking for a second for that.
Yep.
Okay, second, for the amended motion, any further discussion? Okay, voting on the amendment to the motion. Start with
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and then with, now back to the actual motion that is now amended, will there be any further discussion on that? Which would be summer hours properly stated, thank you so much. Any public comment, I guess, was there any issues that anyone noticed, or?
What hours are you guys working now then? So it's after Labor
Normal
Day?
hours.
8 to 4:30, Monday through Friday.
Oh, okay.
Then with no further discussion I'm hearing, moving on to voting for the implementation of the summer hours.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. Excellent, so other stuff from HR, we have overtime policy. Basically, this came up in HR with the holidays being considered as hours worked. Made for some difficult, I wanna say, or maybe difficult is the wrong word, but accounting practices where it's like, okay, was it hour of work, then was it overtime? I guess long story short, basically, an on-call time was present before. With that on-call time, it apparently was being taken advantage of. Then they would get their time and a half, and then no work and no vacation time, no sick leave, nothing like that, but they'd still get the time and a half. That was a conflict. Then a previous commission removed that and made it to this, which was a little bit more convoluted because then they had to take into account holiday hours, which obviously everyone would get off. So I guess Miranda and I kind of talked, and we're both more in the emergency field, nurse and paramedic. Just we kind of understand the concept that if you're on call and for that on call time, we're saying you get time and a half, right? It's reasonable then if you go on call, you get that time and a half regardless of the other stuff, right? So I guess that's my personal opinion. If someone's taking advantage of it, that should possibly be a personnel change, not a policy change. You wanna change policy just because of a bad egg, you know, so that sort of thing. But with that in regards, basically, just moving it back to how it was previously, where an on-call rate, I'll read it out here. Employees of the city of Washburn are required to be on call on a 24-hour basis. Due to the nature of city of Washburn's operation, emergency work such as sewer backups, water main breaks, WTP alarms, snow removal, sanding, etc. may need to be performed outside the regular 8 to 4:30 work schedule. The city of Washburn pays an on-call rate of 1.5 times the regularly hourly rate of pay for these emergency situations when employees are called in outside of normal working hours. So this puts it in a really nice position where it's on-call time is worth this, regular overtime holiday is just as normal. Makes it a lot easier for accounting and that sort of thing. But that's the basic gist of it. Opening it up to further discussion.
I got just maybe a minor change on this, because we're doing summer hours now, maybe just scratch the hours and just have it read regular work schedule instead of 8 to 4:30.
No, thank you. I thought about that as I was reading it. I was like, oh, we just did something with this. Yeah. So that'd be a great change for sure.
What about snow removal? Say like if it's advantageous to get out at 6 before people are out driving around, then is it from 6 to 8 is it time and a half then, regardless?
Yes, so that'd be an on-call situation, yes.
Okay, is there further discussion or motion or anything in regards to what has been brought forward?
So this is what you're recommending as HR to change it to.
Good thing. I guess I could provide the recommendation, or and I guess it was our recommendation, as I understood that we would go with the new policy, amend it for what Adam changed. So I would motion to accept this new policy with the removal of the stipulation of the time, which is the 8 to 4:30 there, and just having regular work schedule. Is there any second?
It simplifies it. You know,
So with the motion on the table, is there any second?
so
Motion and second, further discussion? Public comment? Okay, with that, we'll start voting with Tim.
yes,
Yes.
Yes. Okay, excellent. Well, that brings us to property for sale, which is this email exchange that we have before us here. To my understanding, there has not been any updates since these 3 emails.
That is correct.
Okay, so Dan Butler, there's an email from Mark that says Dan Butler called me to let me know that the property that he owns across from the swimming pool is for sale. Can you please let the commissioners know for discussion at the next commission meeting? Thanks, Mark. Okay. So is there any discussion on that? I believe this is what we previously made an offer on or something like that.
right.
Yes,
Okay.
which is
Open it
the
up for
building,
discussion.
the land right behind, like the basketball court, with the old building that's on it.
Yeah, I guess I did some thinking and some figuring on, other lots that have sold or are for sale in Washburn. Like just trying to get a approximate price of real estate prices. And if you look at like if I did my figuring right, the one across from the Catholic Church, which is rather large, it's about 73,000 square feet, and it's like $1.54 a square foot. There was some property that is for sale down on the end of 4th, about 24,000 square feet. That comes out to about $2.62 a square foot. I believe the property we got from you was 75 by 125, right? I think it was a lot and a half. Yeah, the GPS has been updated, so I had to kind of guess where that was at. Yeah, and so if I divide that out, that was about $2.84, a square foot. So I guess looking at the property that's for sale here, with Mr. Perker Ravages that we purchased, it was something that was an island in the middle of everything else that we owned. So to complete our property, you know, it was advantageous for us, you know, to acquire that. These other properties like up there and the one on Fourth, I mean, they have streets, they have water, they have sewer, they have all that. So that gives them some more value also. The property down here, you know, has no water or sewer. The closest water and sewer would either be Eighth or Main, correct? Yeah. So there, it's a long ways for development as far as water and sewer and quite an expense. Plus, there's also a building on there that is probably 125 years old. You know, it was originally built as a livery stable, from what my understanding of the history of it. I got just a rough quote today from a contractor. He said, "No, this is just rough," but he says, probably to tear it down and haul it away, he says, you're probably looking around that $10,000 mark, you know, because if the city would purchase it, the building certainly isn't of any value to us, would have to be removed. So I'm just throwing those out there as things to consider, you know, if we pursue this down the road, of what other properties have sold for, because this is taxpayer money that we are to spend, you know, and be good stewards of, and then also the amount that we would have to do to remove the building to make the lot usable for whatever we chose to do. So not that we have to pursue this or go after it tonight, but I mean, that's just kind of the figures that I did of property I has sold or I knew that sold to get a per
Yeah.
square foot price, and then whether water and sewer is available, because that is a benefit to us.
Right. And overall, I don't think we've been given much to pursue or.
No, we
I
haven't.
mean, there's no purchase price. The gentleman isn't here to discuss it with us.
Right.
It's just a general information that
Yep.
that piece of property is for sale, with nothing else given.
Right. And I guess the way I feel is that if, you know, if Mr. Butler wants to sell this, then let him approach the commission, you know, to, with what he's asking for it and negotiate from there, so.
That'd be a good first step, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Wonderful, we'll move on.
Yep.
Then, Yep.
Yeah, but I just wanted to throw those out just to kind of get some figures in your head of what properties are going for,
So
so.
thank you so much. Next agenda item, Red River Valley Water Supply Project.
Okay,
Hoping I got it right. Okay, go ahead.
all right, we are still in negotiations. After visiting with, Mr. Mahoney, the mayor of Fargo, and he brings along a gentleman by the name of Bruce Grubb, as a consultant. And, what I've been doing, to be honest with you, I've had one meeting and I took Mr. Thomas along because as I visited with Mr. Mahoney, he said nobody has a background of information, you know, like Larry has, and it's a public meeting, so. But anyway, first of all, I would like to be, you know, discuss the fact of thanking Larry for his continued involvement and the resources that he offers to us, because he's been working on this water project for many, many, many years. And I would be struggling without him. So with your guys' consent, I would like to continue to involve Larry as a consultant, unpaid consultant, in these meetings, just like Mr. Mahoney does, just like Ann comes along with the McLean Sheridan, because she's been involved in it for a long time. And they know a lot more about it, you know, than I do, so. Any of your thoughts on any of this?
Seems very reasonable. It's a very complicated project with lots of lore and backstory detail, that's for sure.
Right.
Multiple different things go through. Like all this, it's
Right.
a whole thing. There could probably be a book written, honestly.
Yeah.
So if you have the information and someone would be a valuable resource like that, it'd be unwise.
Yeah. I don't have anything prepared tonight because Ann is gone. So Larry and I were gonna sit down with all of our notes from this last meeting we attended in Jamestown, because it's pretty complicated what different things they've thrown out now. But with Ann being gone, without her input, I feel that I would have been ill prepared, because I rely on those two, because they've been at this I've only been at it 2 years, they've been at it a long time. And so there really isn't much to report. There's no deadline that we're pushing up against. The main thing is just to tell that we're still in the process of working with them. The story seems to change on every meeting, almost constantly. Who's involved, who isn't involved. Doesn't seem to be a lot of,
The figures.
and the figures constantly change, and that's why I would, that's why I asked Larry if he would continue to help me with this, cause there isn't any of us, I don't think, that could do it without his and Ann's help, so.
It's a good committee if you like surprises. is what
Pardon
you're
me?
saying. If you like surprises, it's a wonderful committee.
Right,
Okay,
yeah.
excellent. So are you just discussing this? Are you looking to make a motion or? going
Well, I
to-
guess I would make a motion that, that the city would approve of Larry being an unpaid consultant to attend these meetings with me, and to continue this process, because it's kind of like we're building a building and we're inventing something and we've been at it for 15 years, and all of a sudden the guy that's laid the first stone up till the top story is gone.
Mhm.
And, the school did something which was very wise when Mr. Renus retired. They kept him on in a consulting role,
Mhm.
because they knew
I
that.
apologize, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you did make a motion, so you should probably.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Yep,
We'll
okay.
come right back to you in discussion
Yep, that's
first.
fine.
So there's a
So-
motion on the table for him to
Yep.
be a representative. Is there any second?
In just this right here, that for the water project, is that what you're saying, or?
Yeah, just for the water project.
I'd second.
Two seconds, okay, moving into discussion, please, Tim.
Yeah.
I interrupted.
This, and I guess I kind of got the idea from the school, and what they did with Mr. Renus is they kept him on in a consulting role because they were deep into this building project, and for it to be dumped on Dr. Penny without his expertise and background in it, I'm sure she already has kind of a mess up there the way it is, without having him to be there as a consultant, so I'm kind of asking for the same type of guidelines here, is that, he would be used in this with his knowledge and expertise on this intake structure.
Mhm. So I mean, just to be clear, not like a sole representative, he wouldn't be making decisions or
No.
anything like that, just a wonderful pool of knowledge to draw
Right.
from. Okay,
Yep.
excellent, thank you.
All decisions go back to the commission anyway. so.
Right.
Excellent, thank you. Any other discussion? Public comment? Okay, voting starting with Tim?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, excellent. I guess we could get a little like preview. You could come on up. I guess you could come up for just our little chat with the engineering fees, then we can get right into your update. If that works for you.
Sounds good.
Alright. So, first of all, thank you so much for all the work you've done for us, and we do truly appreciate it. We just noticed that, when we were doing our budgeting, some of the engineering fees not allocated directly to projects was a little bit high, and I'm not saying that that is your fault. You should get paid for your work. You do excellent work. We'd be just looking for maybe just a little bit more clarity on when fees come in or whatever it may be. So for example, like if we asked, how do we fix the crack in that sidewalk, and then we came back and it was like, whatever cost it would be, rather than just an easier, like hypothetically, real quick, that sort of thing. So where the cost would come in and that sort of thing as well. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
No, that's fine. So I know that with this last project, in the scope of the work for the street project we had,
Mhm.
we didn't have scope in there for doing financial services and like the special assessments type portion of work. And this was quite a bit of the special assessment process. I know that Chelsea's gonna be happy to be done with it when we get to that point. So a lot of general engineering services. So just to back up real quick, so anything that I do for the city, it's approved under the master agreement that the city agreed to. And one of those agreements we have is for general engineering services work,
Mhm.
and that can cover a lot of different things, okay? Whether it's for doing, setting up a contractor for the lagoon work that we did, or, doing, helping with, financial business with like the special assessments work, that's not included in the scope of the street project. Any of those types of things. It could be, another example would be the, meeting with the city to look at, sanitary sewer, issues that they may have with like homes that need to get sewer to the sewer main, that they don't have sewer service. They have a drain field
Mhm.
or septic system. So anything that I do there, that's usually something that will go to general engineering services. But if it's something that's covered under the scope of a project, like the street project, we have the design work, bidding work, and construction services. That's something that's under that project. So if that kind of brings some clarity to it.
No,
So,
for sure.
Yeah, so coming to meetings too, there's some time that I charge for, being at commission meetings and providing a report and update to the city as well. And that's covered under general engineering services.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, just to
Yeah.
be clear, like if that's what we are asking you to do, obviously you should get paid for that, right? Now,
Yep.
I think just us, we wanted a better understanding of when that exactly comes into play. I guess, does anyone have any specific questions? Like, we were kind of discussing at the budget meeting a while ago there, but.
Yeah, it's kind of a tricky thing, cause like well, like, if say you hire someone for concrete or plumbing or whatever, the city would issue like a work order, so it's kind of a little trickier with a engineer, isn't it?
right.
So like how,
Because things come up, you know, and you can't always budget or plan for those things that might come up, you know? But if there's some things that you'd want me to look at scope wise, where like, well, hey, here, let's get you to come quarterly to meetings, then I could reduce the amount of time that I'm around.
Yep.
And then I'm not coming to all commission meetings.
And I think
So
that's more
that's-
of what we were discussing,
Yeah.
not, you know.
And I've typically come to, cause that's the thing is, you know, some towns have meetings more often than once a month. I don't know that I've seen it any less than once a month. So typically, commission meetings in Washburn are longer meetings, but they're only once a month. So, you know, but there's a good and bad with that, right? So, you know, that's something that I could do is like, hey, Eric, can you just call in, or hey, can you come to every other meeting, like those types of things. That could reduce the scope for that I'm at. And I'm okay with doing that too, if that's what you guys want. So.
Do you think, cause I mean, right now it's not like we have the whole street project going on and that sort of thing. Would it be unwise to go to a quarterly level or something like that and maybe just have like monthly, just little guys like this come out through email sort of thing?
Yeah,
Any
it could
questions
definitely
could
be
be
that,
called,
or I could
or-
even call in, you know, and typically I'm near the end of the meeting, so I call in later on, or just skip one. I know last meeting I just called in, you know, so that was a reduction in time that I had with you guys, so I could do that too. It just, if that's what you want, that's something that we can do. So, if there's a lot of business going on, probably better that I'm here, you know, and it might be a couple months in a row that happens, and maybe there's a couple months in a row where it's not as active, so, yeah. So if that's something, you know, you guys want, then I can scale it back a little bit and try to save time there, so.
Yeah, and sorry, just to reiterate again, it's not, you're doing great work, it's just, one thing we noticed in the budget, it was like, this much this year, this much this year, and then this much this year, and obviously we had projects and stuff, you know, so
Right.
there was a higher need, which
Right.
totally makes sense, but just be responsible, we see that big, just a big increase, and oh, let's just ask questions, that's all. So.
And I think that most of the, if there was an increase this year, it most likely was because of the special assessment financial work. You know, Abby was coming to do a lot, there, and that wasn't, if I had that covered in the scope for the street project, then it would have been in the street project, whereas it went to the general engineering services, so that's probably where you saw most of it, I would say.
see, we seen that as a line item in the budget. Is there a broken down statement we get to? Maybe we didn't see that on the budget part, where,
For the detailed portion
Yeah,
of it, it's every bill in there is broken. If you look at it, it'll say general engineering services.
sure,
It has who worked on what, the amount of time on it, their cost per hour. And then we've changed the way we've done it. Eric now includes it at the bottom of the invoice. But every invoice that we paid for AE2 West, I've always attached an email with an explanation of what that invoice is paying.
Yeah, and sometimes we have, like, Mike will do stuff for the water plant.
Yep.
Instrumentation control stuff, or, program updates, you know, things, software updates, things like that.
Some of that goes under INC for
And
water
that's
treatment
INC,
plant.
yeah, you don't see that
Um,
there. And then there's
General
some,
engineering, and then a lot of it that we have paid was been the project, and all those project costs go under 426, which was our project fund for the street project. But yeah, every invoice tells you what the work was done, who did the work, their hourly rate, and then the total of the bill.
and something that I can do better, I think, is making sure when we get into a project, confirming with the city scope, because certainly it would have been better to have things with the special assessment work included in the project. So, those are questions that I probably should have asked you guys, when we're going into the project, that I most certainly can, so covering that scope better, so it's, it's there for that, and we can keep, although this was a longer effort, I would say, for this special assessment, probably more than I normally see. But there was a lot of questions, and, people deserve to, have their say on how the special assessments are carried out, but
Brand new
it takes
committee.
longer to do, and that's why that might take a little bit more, so. But I know that Abby and Chelsea work really well together, and they've done an excellent job on it. I think there's a lot of visibility on how the special assessments happened, or continuing to work out for the project, so it's worth it.
And I'm assuming also when a commissioner asks a question like, instead of doing it this way, how much would it cost to do it that way? You take it to your people and we pay to get that question, correct?
Yeah, if it's something that I can't, that I'm
Right.
going to somebody else for, but.
But when you come back with a quote, no, instead of putting it in here, you put it over here, it's gonna
Yeah.
cost X amount.
And that's something, again, if you go back to like the Lagoon project, where I probably had a good, 6-8 hours in that and getting our guy to come up here to that fun project. That could even be something that could be an amendment to the general engineering services agreement, where it's like, hey, this is this pot, this is where this is all coming from, so you could see it better there, or just broken out
Right.
more, and that's something we can do too. You'll just have a lot of phases on that general engineering services agreement, and the general engineering services agreement is kind of one of those things where it's a catch-all, so as long as and it can be done however the city wants. If they want to see phases on that, we can certainly break things out per little project that we might have, like the Lagoon project.
Right.
But for simplicity, that's kind of how we've done it for a long time, is had a general engineering services agreement that kind of covers all that thing, but again,
Yeah.
if the commission wants to see something done differently there, we can most certainly do that.
Well, I don't have a problem with it, cause if you're asked a question that's gonna take your guys 4, 5, 6 hours, you need to be paid for it to get if that's what it takes to get the answer, cause we asked the question, so, But just clarification there, so.
Kind of like, well, on the job site, if you make a change, you probably almost try to do a change order though too, and line item is, so you're getting billed, so I guess maybe I need training, like if I ask for something, it's like, kinda need to know what's
Like,
this.
hey, this might take me this much to figure out for you.
Yeah.
Like an example would be like, when you wanted to look at the Lagoon, if you wanted to have a bypass.
Mhm.
That's an effort that I did to figure out how much it might cost to do a bypass around that lagoon.
Mhm.
And that was something that, didn't take that long, but that's something I took from you and said, hey, I can present that to you at the next, this is how much it's gonna cost to do it. And we went through that, but that was something that would have been work done under general engineering services
Yeah, and I
to do
think
that.
that's something that may not have known, we
Yeah.
may just assumed that was covered under general,
Yeah.
engineering services, not an extra cost, so.
Yeah, and so to be clear, so like you guys budget X amount of dollars for general engineering services each year. I'm gonna charge hourly rates. So like if you have me do XYZ tasks, I'm gonna send a bill through general engineering services that says I directed this many hours on this X, this many hours on this Y, and this many hours on Z. So just because you budget however much you budget, I may be under that, I may be over that type of thing. But that's something too, like if you want to, I could say, hey, for this year on your budget, we've spent this much on general engineering services, like give you update on that each meeting if you want that. It's something that we could do. But there's not a specific, like it's not a lump sum agreement where it's like I can only charge this much a year. It's you guys budget this much, but the agreement is an hourly rate for whatever you might need.
Right, so.
So if you want us under that and you want me to monitor where we're at and say like the first 3 months, like, okay, we've done all this work, we're getting really close to the budget already or whatever, like I can provide that for you if that's something you want. Sure. You just never know each year how much, consulting time you'll need. Because it might be a really busy year, it might not. You know what I mean? So it's kind of tough to know. But if we want to scale some things back, we can do that. You know what I mean? So, that makes sense.
Yeah, it'd probably be very reasonable, maybe just, what was like with the pot, you said like you would be like, you go up to here, then we get approval for further.
Yeah, so you guys might budget a certain amount a year. And the agreement is up to a certain amount. So, you know, I'm gonna send out, when we're getting to that, dollar amount, I might send out another update to it and say, hey, this is, an update to the amount on the general engineering services agreement. And you'll see that.
So we
So,
don't do that currently, or we do?
we do
Okay,
do
that's
that.
what I
And
thought.
I'm not sure when the last one is that we did, but, I'd have to go back and look to see.
Didn't we just update that last fall?
We might have, and we usually do every year, update it each year, cause it goes to a certain amount and then like to a cap, and then you gotta approve for more at that point.
I think I thought it was last fall that we updated it.
I'll have to go back and look, cause I can't recall off the top of my head, but, yeah. So,
Yeah, just some way that we could know we're reaching up to the boundaries, you know, just we're aware, you know, so
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, and the year, whoa, oopsie,
what,
you know.
so what did we budget this year for it?
For 25?
Yeah.
I'll email you.
Okay.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, I guess another thing we could maybe discuss would maybe be every other month. Cause we currently have not projects, you know, maybe just an email report, something.
And I'm okay with doing that, and I bet you my kids are okay with that too.
Right, yeah, I know. I guess just open up discussion in that regard. I guess I'll just go this way. I'd move to have you come, every other month.
Sure.
He has a motion on the table, but there may be issues when there's things going on, he needs to be every month, you know, so.
I'm just saying.
To the
regular
meeting
schedule.
or here to the issue? I mean,
You're talking to the meeting?
So sorry, motion on the table, let's deal with that. It can die for like a second if we want, but, so motion on the table, any second.
What was the motion?
To come to the meeting?
For him to come to the meeting every other month.
Every other month.
Rather than monthly. So is there a second? Any second?
I would
Any second?
second that.
There's a second, so now we can move into discussion. So for him to come every other month, I guess my primary case for that, you know, I mean, obviously that we have very important stuff going on, but it's stuff that we've addressed already. So it's just kind of, like little update notes that could be just simply in an email, you know, and then, just reasonable, like not that we don't want your services, we appreciate your service, we're very thankful for your services. But I mean, like you said, maybe your kids would like to have you home for another dinner or whatever, you know, just
Yeah.
reasonably speaking, if there isn't a project going on, that does not then stop us from saying like, Eric, 4 months, we just had a break, we gotta, every month, my friend, you know, would you be able to do that? And we made a decision to do that, like, that would still be on the table, right? It wouldn't be like,
Yeah, I'll be here if you guys need me here. I'll be here. If you don't, then I won't. And if it's every other, great. If it even comes to like, hey, we haven't had much going on. It's been a really slow winter. You know, I'll just hold off from coming because maybe in the summertime I might need to be here more often. So
that's true, yeah. But all I'm saying on the commissioners is just as a baseline, so as our standard, it's just every other month, obviously able for call for more, so. That's where I'd be. Certainly for the discussion.
I guess I'm gonna vote no just for the fact, not that I don't want you to come every month, but I'd rather see it more of a variance to where, you know, there's really nothing going on, we really don't need you this month, and then the next month, and then kind of on a let him know ahead of time that, you know, we'd really like for you to come, and we've got something going on these next 3 months type of
Yeah.
thing, versus having it set every other month.
yeah.
You know, I see your point there, but I don't like that scheduling. I'd rather that we really don't need him, let you know enough ahead of time, a week ahead of time type of thing. There's not much going on. It's just redundant for lack of better words.
Yeah.
But you know what, we're really gonna need you because we got PRVs going in or whatever.
Mhm.
Well, that's the only reason I vote no. I see your point, but I don't like the set part. I'd rather that there was a variance so that he was, like that. That's the only reason. So.
You're kind of saying he'd be added to the agenda when there is an issue.
As needed.
As
As long,
needed,
and
yeah.
you don't feel
Well,
like jerked around by like the as needed, you know.
Well, you wouldn't do it,
It's a
you wouldn't do it the day out.
You guys are my client. If I need to be here, I'm gonna be here.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't do it the day out, we would say, okay, we got stuff coming up, we really need Eric here for it to
Right.
explain this type
Yeah.
of thing, and that's why I would vote no on it, so.
I'd be fine moving to voting then unless there's further discussion. Starting with Tim.
No,
No,
No.
No. Okay, I just wanted to move us in a direction, that's what the motion's for, so just to get, we weren't having any discussion, wanted some discussion. So would you guys leave it how it is, or where you at then?
would you say to do it as needed?
yeah, I guess I would, I mean, you have a life too, so if you don't need to be here for something that we can just look over, I fully understand that.
Yeah, and
But if
and
it-
the other things I'll tell you guys too is if you have any questions, you can call me anytime. And
Right.
I think I've talked to all of you on the phone, except maybe you, Miranda. But you're new. It's not because I don't like you or nothing like that. So
Yeah.
you guys can call me anytime. I'm
Yeah.
pretty regularly talk to Chelsea and Adam.
Yeah.
So whatever comes up, you can give me a call. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna charge you guys for a 10-minute conversation on the phone. You know, so just to joking aside. So just so you know, like it's not things like that. When we're charging time, it's when we're having like bona fide things that we're working on for the city. If you have a quick question, don't feel like you can't call me because you're gonna get charged for it. So
To be fair to you, Eric, what would you want for a lead time so that, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Monday, hey, we should probably have Eric here, no, we're not gonna do
well,
that.
I mean, if I haven't heard from you guys in a while, I should be calling you anyways to talk to you to see what's going on. So if there's
But I mean, what I mean is that, okay, the this is the Monday, would you wanna know like 3-4 days ahead of time so that you can plan that I have to go to Washburn on that Monday? I mean, and if an emergency thing came up, that's one
Yeah.
thing, but it's almost like you'd be on call.
I have all of your meetings on my schedule, so
Okay.
it's for me it's default to be here, and
Okay.
that's probably why you see me all the time. And like I said, it's only once a month, so typically that's why I've always been here, or sometimes Abby is here too. Or sometimes just her. Sometimes we both have been here, depending on if it's like busy for the project and stuff like that. But no, I always have it on my schedule. And hearing your feedback, I can. If I really don't think I need to, then I'll just not.
Right.
But I'll still send you guys like, hey, this is what I have going on right now.
So would it be fair to you so that if you knew by Thursday or Friday of the prior
That'd be
week?
fine.
Or
Yeah.
by like when the agenda's due.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be fine.
Okay,
Yeah. And I'll probably reach out before then,
Yep.
anyways, to kind of know,
Yep.
so I know my schedule a little bit more ahead of time. But yeah,
so then I would move that we would have Eric come up on a per needed basis monthly, providing that he is notified, the Friday morning prior to the meeting. Cause I don't want you to have to be on call, wondering if we're gonna call at 3 in the
Yeah.
afternoon on
Nice.
Monday, it's not fair to you, so.
I'd second.
Okay, motion and second, for the discussion. I guess my only thing would be like, who makes that decision? The office staff, or like, how should we go about that? Just say
I
the
think the
protocol,
contact should come from the auditor. So if one of us thinks that he needs to be here, he should just have one messenger, which would be the auditor's office.
Yeah, and that's what I was going for, yes,
Yeah.
some sort of chain of command there, so.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I would, want to amend that motion to have the contact person as the auditor.
Okay, second.
Okay, motion and second, so for the amendment, any further discussion? Okay, with the amendment on the table, voting with Tim,
Yes,
Yes.
yes, and with the amended now motion, which is Tim's motion plus Chelsea being the contact person, any further discussion? Public comment? Okay. Voting with
Yes.
Tim,
yes.
yes. Okay, excellent, so now we get into your update. if you want.
great feedback. Thank you guys for all of that. So yeah, just wanted to go over my update here. Street project, I was able to drive around and check out the project. If there's some daylight still after this, I might go check out some more things. So warranty items listed. Walkthrough, I would say, is not completely completed yet. I would also say if there's any feedback from the commission or anyone in town that you've talked to or heard from, please let me know if there's any warranty items, because I will be sending the punch list to the contractor and reestablishing that communication with them. I've already sent them the stuff on the street, Jennifer Drive, I think it is, where we had like the weeds coming through the cracks there. So that's one thing. Is there anything else that you've seen, Adam? No. Okay. So that's what's going on there. So I'll follow up with the contractor on
Can I
that.
stop you? Did you check the spot on where they extended that road down in front of like Patterson's? Someone, yeah,
Like the
or-
bottom of the hill?
yeah. I don't know if you've driven up there after. I think I mentioned it to you. Somebody has made a comment, like with the trucks going through there, or the UPS, like there's leaving marks. I don't know what that means as to leaving marks, if it's just,
Are they flipping a U-ball at the end and coming, scuffing tires or?
Marks on the curb, marks on the asphalt.
marks on the street, on the
street.
asphalt,
Okay.
yes,
So like where they're turning with their tire?
yes, and I
Okay.
believe they're, I don't know how they're turning around, if they're,
It's not like a garbage truck, is it? It's just like a.
could
Could
be,
be a garbage truck.
cause they said with the bigger trucks going on there and they're leaving marks.
So, like, if it was like a garbage truck type vehicle, I'd be more concerned with them doing that. But if it's any type of like car, regular pickup, it's just gonna be a superficial thing where it's kind of scuffs the asphalt a little bit, but I'll go look for that. It's like on the end of Linden?
Yeah.
Okay.
Down where they
I'll
extended
check
that road,
out.
yeah.
Okay.
That's the only thing I've heard.
Okay, so that's where we're at with that. Lead and copper rule, technical assistance project. So actually just before I left town, I sent you guys an email, a link to our final deliverables folder. So just to give the quick background information, the lead and copper revision rule is something that the EPA from the federal government has pushed down to the states enforcing that we have an inventory of all of our service lines, all of our water service lines in every public water system. So that's something that across statewide we're doing. We have done. I believe we're completed, save maybe a handful of public water systems haven't done it yet. So we've got the list to you guys, inventory. We had a closeout meeting last week, I think it was, with you guys to talk about that. So deliverables will have all the information on the survey that we did to find out as many service lines, what materials they are inside homes. We had over, I think it was a 25% or higher response rate on the survey, so that was great. That's a good response rate, despite what you may think. So that's good. And then we had pictures that came along with that, and then all the record drawings that we reviewed as well are in that deliverables folder. But that service line inventory was submitted to the state for the city, and that will satisfy the October 16th, 2024 deadline that the EPA and state have put on every public water system across the country. So Washburn will be in compliance. The next thing that I wanted to just point out is that any service line that was identified as lead or any service line that was unknown, there has to be a notification sent to all of those by November 15th. So I'm working on getting you guys, if I haven't put it in that deliverables folder already, it's a spreadsheet that shows all of those addresses. And then there's I don't know if you've received it yet from the state, but it's a template letter that will go to all of them.
We have it.
You guys have it?
Yes.
So that's good. So the state might have sent you the addresses too.
I think they did.
Do they have the actual mailing address though in that spreadsheet? Because if they don't, that's something that I'll get to you guys.
Okay.
We'll work on that for you. So try to push an easy button for you on that. And that's again, this effort's all covered by the state. It's not something that the city is paying me to do. It's the state. We're contracted with the state to do this for you guys. And that's moving along. I know that Chelsea will feel better after we can get those notifications all sent out, but I'll help you on that. So
And I'll upload that to our website too, with that
Okay.
map, just so it's on there as well.
you happen to remember or having a ballpark idea of how many people were on that unknowns in lead list from the state?
Almost all of them.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like what we talked about at our closeout meeting, the reason why it's that way is that the EPA, which pushes that on the state, and the state requires it as well, is that you need to know the material of the service line on each side of the curb stop. So if we knew that it's a non-lead service because we got a survey from it, or because Adam and his guys found out what it is, if we don't know what's between the street and the curb stop, or the water main and the curb stop, then the EPA makes us call it unknown, because they want to know the whole thing. So that's why, and it's a rule that we have to follow, and it is what it is. So a lot of notifications, but Category B assistance is coming up, and we can hopefully start identifying more of those unknowns, so you don't have as many of those notifications to send. Any questions on that?
Those have to be up by November 15th, correct?
November 15th. Yep. And I didn't write it on there, but I wrote my own note on there, so yes, please write that down, November 15th for that. Like I said, we got some time, but I'll work with you to help you out on There's no questions on that. The PRV project, so I did condition assessment on those, and it came back pretty much what we figured already. But I think this project was going to be is going to come down to less dollars than what we initially thought. But the 4th Avenue PRV, there's 2 pressure reducing valves in town because of 2 pressure zones, because of the topography of Washburn. So the 4th Avenue PRV, it's 35 years old. It was installed in 1990. So I found the record drawings on that.
It's pretty good.
So it's in pretty good condition for that, but it also is 35 years old. So I would recommend replacement of the valve. The vault is fine. The gate valves I think are fine too. So we'll just work on getting the price for that and get that PRV ordered. But more to follow on that. The 6th Avenue PRV is up by the old tower. Recommend replacement of that PRV in the vault is still out for debate. It depends on what I can get for quotes from contractors to replace that. The valve is very old, and it looks like it's older than it probably is too, the shape that it's in. So the miles got to that one, I think, more than the years, but that one should be replaced. Talking to contractors, no one's really available to do this work this year, so we probably could get equipment, but we probably not gonna be able to get contractors to switch that out unless the city is interested in switching out valves on their own, and that's something that probably could talk to you more after the meeting, Adam, if that's something we wanna do. Cause like the 4th Avenue one, probably, you guys probably could do that one.
They do, yeah.
But that project, I know that we wanted to get that done this year, but with contractor availability, I would recommend that we try to get that done in spring, which if we can have if I can get the quotes to you, and I know you wanted to have that funding that you have allocated to it, we could still do that. I think it would be okay to do that and just get it knocked out in spring.
Yeah.
So, is there any questions on that?
Excuse me, was there money designated for this that had to be spent out of one of those, either Prairie Dog or whatever?
Spent by 2026.
26, okay.
So we wanted to allocate it, but yeah, we have a little more time to spend it. So,
Okay, thanks.
sorry that it's gotten drawn out longer than we wanted it to. I know we wanted to get that done, but
That's okay.
is what it is. I know that just moving on to the last item there, I haven't had a chance, to be honest, to update your scope and cost for the 2025 project. There's been a lot going on in town with trying to get the 2023 project closed out and the special assessments there. So I know that this is something this commission is interested in doing. I'll get you that scope and cost for that project as soon as I can. Goal is to have something for you before next meeting. When you guys first took the new commission started, I kind of gave you
Right.
this is what this project is.
Mhm.
And so that's what I'll get you that updated cost, and you guys can decide if that's something you still wanna go do.
That was the night we drank out of the fire hose, right?
Yes, that was the fire hose when I had like 2 pages of notes to go over, so.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's all I have unless you guys have any questions for me.
Thank you.
Excellent, thanks so much, Eric.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thanks.
Okay, next agenda item, portfolios / new business. We'll just start with Tim and his portfolio.
I haven't got anything because I think Adam's gonna bring us up to on how many holes he's been digging around town, so.
Oh.
Yeah, so, we're good.
Excellent. Jamie and his portfolio.
I don't know, kind of the same thing, we kind of talked about it. Do
We covered it, yeah.
Do we want to talk about it now, or just kind of when?
Yeah, I don't know, there's, the plan is still to do asphalt at the end of this month. Haven't heard any different from them, so I'm assuming that's still the plan.
Concrete went fairly well,
Concrete's going well,
so
still in the process as we talked about, yeah.
looking for tarring agents, I guess, for spring.
Yep, we'll be doing some research here in the next month. Jamie and I will get together and probably bring a recommendation for, the next meeting.
Other than that, I think that's about what I got.
Just the North Dakota State Librarian is gonna come and do a new board member orientation that's open to the public, speaking of us not having a lot of experience, before our next, library board meeting at 6:15, 11/26/24. That's it.
Then the date with the 26th report. Okay,
Mhm.
excellent. Okay, and I guess my stuff is in the agenda, so reports from city personnel, starting with Adam.
Yeah, so I guess you have my report. I don't have a version of it in front of me, but I guess the highlights. We did that sewer, saddle repair in front of the bank there, last week. And we'll be doing a, water line service repair in front of, Dutoit's, the old Hoffman building there, probably next week. We're not sure if a corp is shut off or the line is bent over, we're not entirely sure, but we'll see when we get down there. If there's any other questions about the stuff that were on the report, I could answer those.
Any further questions? Okay, moving on to Chelsea.
Okay, fall cleanup started today. So the compound hours are Monday through Thursday, they're 3 to 7 p.m. On Friday, the compound is open from 10 to 2. Saturday is curbside pickup. They ask that all items are usually out by 7 a.m. We've had some problems with this in the past, so just to, I guess, make a note of it, that if you have a lot of construction material or demo material out on the sidewalk, the curb, they will not pick that up. They want you to get your own dumpster for that, as it's construction work. So I know there's been a lot of wood and stuff missed, and if they deem that as construction or demo, they won't pick that up. Next week is our annual fall conference, so depending on what the guys have going on, Ben potentially could be sitting in here.
We'll see.
If not, the office will be closed Wednesday afternoon, all day Thursday, and all day Friday. Kind of talked about this, I guess, a little bit ago. I'm trying to set up a meeting on Wednesday at 4:30 with the Special Assessment Committee. I'm still waiting to hear back from 2 of the other members of that, to get going on that and determine when we're having another public hearing, if we need to, or just bring it to the commission.
Sorry, if I may, that's this Wednesday.
Yes, as long as I can get a hold of the other 2 members and confirm that they can make it. I have 1 on board, I'm waiting for the other 2.
We should try and meet for the sound stuff tomorrow then. Well, I'll call you.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Just an update on the school. I talked to Dr. Penny today. She told me they are at least like a month out for the kitchen, so they will be there, we'll just say given through the middle of October. As long as the school is in there using the kitchen, the hall will not open for open walk. I think that's way too chaotic. It's way too much that needs to go in there. So as soon as the school is out of there, open walk can open for the year. I haven't heard from our auditors for at least a week, so I know they were wrapping up on that. I'm hoping by October we can have that report and have that complete. And then I guess we did have a quote here, it wasn't on there, from Holiday Decor. Last year we ordered 4 new lights on Main Street. This year we would like to order the other 4 to have all new lights hanging up on Main Street. They are like 10 weeks out. So to get those ordered, the total would be $46.50, including shipping. Being it's over that 4,000 threshold, I guess if you guys would like to approve that.
I didn't have time to look this up. I didn't know this was coming up. Is that within the budget for this year? Like,
It is,
the
yes, it's
beautification?
in that beautification, yes.
And would there be a good amount left for, because we still do have the 3 months left or whatever this year? So-
Yes.
Okay, so
Yep.
as long as that's.
Yep.
there, so,
So
okay.
move.
So move, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second for $46.50 for the Holiday Decor. Is there any further discussion? Public comment? Starting with Tim.
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Well, that is the meeting. Next meeting is October 14th, 2024. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
So on those